Welcome to our immersion today. Prepare to enter the mysterious world of Basque mythology. It is a world full of incredible beings and legends that have survived the passage of centuries, whispered in Euskara, a language that is unlike any other in Europe. Join me on this journey and let's discover together the secrets that are hidden in the mountains and forests of the Basque country. It is fascinating how Basque mythology, unlike others, has managed to maintain its essence despite the arrival of Christianity. Its ancient beliefs have endured, transmitted from generation to generation through stories that still resonate in the heart of the Basque people. It's incredible how these stories have survived. And speaking of incredible stories, we cannot fail to mention Mari, the mother goddess. I have read that she controls the weather from the summits of sacred mountains such as Amboto and Sitsandoki. Imagine the power she must have to control the storms. Mari is a central figure in Basque mythology. Her power is directly related to nature, to the earth, to life itself. It is said that when Mari meets with her consort Maju, storms are unleashed over the Basque country. It's as if their love unleashes the fury of nature. And sometimes she is described as a beautiful woman and other times as an imposing figure. Almost as if she could change shape voluntarily. Yes, the figure of Mari is complex and changing like nature itself. Sometimes she is represented as a beautiful woman, others as a being with animal features. Reflecting the duality present in Basque mythology where beauty and terror often coexist. And what about all those creatures that accompany her? I have read about the Lamias, the Marowak, the Irichuak. It seems that the Basque country is full of magical beings. Indeed, Basque mythology is populated by a great variety of creatures. We could say that every corner of the Basque country has its own legend, its own magical inhabitant. But if we had to talk about a creature that really captures the imagination, I think we would have to talk about the Gentilak, the giants of Basque mythology. It is said that they were beings of enormous strength, responsible for the construction of many of the megalithic monuments found in the region. The builders of the dolmens. Those are really impressive. There is a legend that tells that the Gentilak disappeared when they saw the star that announced the birth of Jesus. They interpreted this event as a sign that their time had come to an end. And they retreated to the mountains, leaving their world behind forever. And they all disappeared. Olanciro, a gentil. The one who brings gifts at Christmas. Olanciro is the exception. It is said that this gentil adapted to the new world and became a kind of herald of the Basque Christmas. A good-natured character who brings coal and gifts to children. It's a curious story. A giant who becomes the Basque equivalent of Santa Claus. It is an example of how Basque mythology has been able to adapt to changes by incorporating elements from other cultures without losing its essence. And it is that despite the influence of Christianity, Basque mythology has managed to maintain its identity, its roots, its connection with the land and its ancient traditions. It is incredible how these stories have survived for so many centuries. The key is in oral transmission. For generations these stories have been told from parents to children, from grandparents to grandchildren, keeping the flame of Basque mythology alive. And speaking of the survival of Basque mythology, what role does Euskara play in all this? Well, because as we said at the beginning, it is a unique language, unrelated to any other. That has helped to preserve these stories. Euskara is much more than a language, it is a symbol of Basque identity, a vehicle for the transmission of the culture and traditions of the Basque people. And mythology as an integral part of that culture. It has found refuge in Euskara, a space where ancestral stories can continue to resonate strongly. As if Euskara were a kind of key that opens the door to a magical world. A world where legends come to life and mythological beings inhabit every corner of the Basque country. And when entering that world, we not only discover the richness of Basque mythology, but we also connect with a part of ourselves, with that human need to believe in the extraordinary, in the magical, in what is hidden beyond what we can see and touch. And now that we have set foot in this magical world, let's explore the figure of Mari a little further. Because if I am not mistaken, her main dwelling is located on Mount Amboto, a place that is said to be full of mystery and legends. Mount Amboto is a key place in Basque mythology. It is said that on its summit is the cave where Mari resides most of the time. A cave. A place where the forces of nature are concentrated, where magic is breathed in the air. A cave. That sounds like there is much more to tell about Mari and her domains. To discover it, we will have to delve a little deeper into the heart of Basque mythology. Well, yes, let's enter Mari's dwelling. Imagine a cave at the top of the mountain. Amboto, an imposing place where the rock rises defiantly against the sky. They say that the entrance is guarded by fierce zezengori or wild bulls that prevent intruders from passing. Wild bulls. I can already imagine those guardians with their red eyes glowing in the darkness, their hooves hitting the ground with fury. It must be a terrifying sight. Undoubtedly, the zezengori are the first barrier for those who dare to approach Mari's dwelling. They not only represent the brute force of nature, but also its untamable character, its ability to protect its secrets. It is as if the mountain itself refused to reveal its mysteries. And inside the cave, there are rivers of milk and honey, as the legends say. Or something more sinister. The legends speak of a cave full of riches, of treasures that Mari jealously guards. It is said that there are rivers of milk and honey, a symbol of the abundance of nature, but there is also talk of objects of gold and silver, of jewels that shine with a supernatural light. A cave full of treasures guarded by wild bulls and an all-powerful goddess seems taken from a fairy tale. Or a nightmare, depending on how you look at it. Basque mythology brings us together the duality, the mix of beauty and terror. And in the figure of Mari, that duality is especially evident. She can be generous with those who respect her, but also terrible with those who dare to challenge her. I wonder what would happen if someone tried to steal her treasures. Would she unleash her fury on the world? Legends say that Mari's wrath is terrible. She can cause storms, floods, droughts. It is even said that she can send her creatures, the Lamias, the Iratswak or the Basajan to punish those who offend her. She is a truly imposing figure. And the Basajan appears in the story. Who are these creatures? Do they have anything to do with the forests of the Basque country? Yes, the Basajan is the lord of the forest. A gigantic being covered in hair who protects the trees and animals. It is said that he knows all the secrets of the forest and that he can communicate with the animals. He sounds like a wise and powerful figure, but a friend or enemy of humans. Or it depends on how we treat him. The Basajan, like nature itself, can be benefactor or dangerous. If he is respected, he can protect shepherds and their flocks, help those lost in the forest and even share his knowledge about nature. But if he is offended, he can be an implacable enemy. It is like a reflection of nature itself that can be generous and cruel at the same time. And that duality is reflected in many of the creatures of Basque mythology. For example, the Lamias, which are often represented as beautiful women, can be seductive and dangerous at the same time. They attract men with their beauty and then drag them to the depths of rivers or lakes where they drown them. How terrifying! It's as if beauty hid a mortal danger. And speaking of dangers, and there are also the Irazoak? They are like goblins, mischievous little ones, but they can be dangerous too. The Irazoak are curious creatures. They are small, dress in red and love to play pranks. They can help people with household chores in exchange for some food, but they can also be very annoying if they are angered. It is said that they can make the milk curdle, the food burn, or the animals get lost. It is better not to make them angry then. And speaking of dangerous creatures, have we forgotten any? Because with so many creatures it is easy to get lost in this magical world. Well, we cannot fail to mention the Tartalo, a giant with a single eye who feeds on human flesh. It is said that he lives in caves and that he goes out at night to hunt his victims. A Basque Cyclops. It is a terrifying image. I wonder if these creatures so different from each other have something in common. Is there a common thread that unites them? All of them are part of a magical universe that coexists with the real world. They are the expression of the fears, beliefs, and hopes of the Basque people. They represent the force of nature, its unpredictability, and its power. It is fascinating how Basque mythology connects us with that part of us, which seeks explanations to the unknown, to what scares us and amazes us at the same time. And not only that, Basque mythology also reminds us of the importance of respecting nature, of living in harmony with it, because as we have seen, mythological creatures can be allies or enemies depending on how we treat them. It is a lesson that is still valid today. In a world where we often forget our connection with nature. Undoubtedly, Basque mythology invites us to reflect on our place in the world, on our relationship with the environment that surrounds us. It reminds us that we are not alone, that we share this planet with other beings, visible and invisible, and that we must learn to live with them in harmony. It is a powerful idea. And speaking of powerful ideas, and then we have the god of the sky Urtzi? I have read that his name appears in the days of the week and in the months of the year, which makes me think that he must be an important figure in Basque mythology. Urtzi is an interesting figure. Unlike Mari, who is very present in legends and popular stories, Urtzi is a more distant, less tangible figure. His presence is perceived in nature, in meteorological phenomena, but his figure is not as defined as Mari's. It's curious, as if there were an invisible force that controls the sky and the earth. Some scholars believe that Ezi could be a deity incorporated into the Basque pantheon at a later time, perhaps influenced by other cultures. However, his presence in the Basque calendar, in the names of days and months, indicates that his figure is deeply rooted in Basque culture. It is as if his power were present in the daily lives of people, even without them realizing it. Yes, it is a subtle but constant presence. And in a way, this subtlety also gives him an aura of mystery, of intangible power that is perhaps even more fascinating than that of the more visible and earthly deities. It is incredible how Basque mythology offers us so many different perspectives on the world, on nature, on ourselves. It is like a puzzle with infinite pieces that we can fit together little by little to better understand the universe that surrounds us. And each piece that we fit together opens the door to new questions, to new possibilities, to new adventures. Do you dare to continue exploring this magical universe? Of course. I am eager to discover what other secrets await us in the heart of Basque mythology. It is truly fascinating how Basque mythology has managed to survive for so long, transmitted from generation to generation through oral tradition. I wonder if this rich mythology continues to inspire the Basques today. Undoubtedly, Basque mythology is not a relic of the past, but a source of constant inspiration. Many contemporary Basque artists, writers and musicians are inspired by these ancestral stories to create works full of strength and meaning. Could you give us some concrete examples? I would love to know how Basque mythology is reflected in contemporary art. Of course. For example, the painter and sculptor Nestor Basterretxea, one of the most important Basque artists of the 20th century, was inspired by Basque mythology to create many of his works. His monumental sculptures such as the monument to the Basque shepherd or the fountain of the horses evoke the strength and vitality of the Basque mythological beings. It is incredible how these ancestral figures continue to resonate today, and in literature there is some writer who stands out for his use of Basque mythology. Yes, without a doubt. Patrick Maples Ayer Lasama, one of the most important Basque writers of recent decades, has dedicated a large part of his work to Basque mythology. His novel Ursi, for example, is a modern reinterpretation of the myth of the god of the sky, exploring themes such as identity, memory, and the search for meaning in a complex world. It is fascinating how Basque mythology becomes a mirror where today's society can see itself reflected, and in music there are also examples of the influence of Basque mythology. Many Basque music groups, both traditional and contemporary, use Basque mythology as a source of inspiration for their lyrics and compositions. For example, the folk metal group Sudagar has composed songs based on Basque legends such as that of Mario or Azajan, creating a unique fusion between traditional Basque music and heavy metal. It is truly admirable how Basque mythology remains alive and evolving, adapting to new times without losing its essence. Don't you think that its survival over the centuries speaks to us of the importance of preserving our cultural heritage, of keeping alive the flame of the stories that connect us with our roots? Absolutely yes. Basque mythology is a cultural treasure that we must protect and transmit to future generations. These ancestral stories help us to understand who we are, where we come from, and where we are going. They remind us that we are part of a millenary history, that our identity is deeply rooted in the land we inhabit and in the legends that have been bequeathed to us. It is a very deep reflection. And after having immersed ourselves in this exciting world, I think that the time has come to conclude our immersion in Basque mythology. I hope you have enjoyed this trip as much as I have. It has been a pleasure to share this knowledge with you and our listeners. I hope that this immersion has awakened your curiosity for Basque mythology and encourages you to continue exploring this magical universe on your own. And before saying goodbye, I would like to leave our listeners with a question to reflect on. After learning about the legends of Mari, the Gentilak, the Basajan, the Lamias, and all those fascinating creatures, what aspects of Basque mythology have impacted you the most? What stories resonate most strongly within you? I encourage everyone to take a moment to think about it, to let the stories we have shared today germinate in their minds and discover the connections, sometimes subtle, sometimes surprising, that exist between Basque mythology and their own experiences. And with that invitation to introspection, we conclude our immersion into the heart of Basque mythology. Thank you for joining us on this journey through a world where the real and the magical intertwine, where the mountains whisper ancestral secrets and where imagination has no limits. I hope you enjoyed this video. If so, it would help me a lot if you subscribed to the channel and gave it a like. And don't forget to leave a comment. I love reading your opinions and suggestions to continue creating content that you like. Until next